The popular show NCIS New Orleans is now in its third season here on KLFY.
Now, adding to the show's popularity in Acadiana is the fact that it's filmed right here in the Bayou State. News 10 anchor Rob Macko joins us now with his special report on the real NCIS New Orleans. Rob?
Well, Darla and Blue, you know I've been to the set of NCIS New Orleans and I've done several stories on the popularity of the TV show. So we thought it would be interesting to visit the real NCIS New Orleans office to see if real life is anything like what you see on TV.
How many wounded? 3.
The TV show NCIS New Orleans is about a fictional group of Naval Criminal Investigative Service agents who investigate crimes in and around New Orleans. It's based on a real government agency. Fans of the TV show will probably recognize this building. It's the exterior of the NCIS New Orleans office. It's actually located on St. Anne Street in the French Quarter. But in real life, the NCIS New Orleans office is located at the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base New Orleans in Belchase. Unlike the show, which has 4 or 5 agents and a couple of forensic experts on standby, the real NCIS New Orleans has just 2 special agents who cover the entire state. They're well aware of the famous TV show modeled after their agency.
They're probably depicting what has happened at some office somewhere at any given point in time.
Jeffrey Norton is one of the real NCIS New Orleans special agents. He's a federal law enforcement officer, so his job can be dangerous, but not nearly as action-packed as what's depicted on the TV show.
I'd almost be willing to say for every 1 hour of real work I do, I spend 7 hours writing about it.
The New Orleans NCIS office investigates crimes involving sailors and Marines and threats against the Department of the Navy. Agents investigate sexual assaults, burglaries, robberies, and the occasional murder on base and in the community. Because the office is so small, agents have to work closely with local police and sheriff's departments.
It has really kind of put us on the map as a premier federal law enforcement agency.
NCIS Supervisory Special Agent Eric Peterson oversees the NCIS offices in New Orleans, Gulfport, and Meridian, Mississippi.
I think they do a really good job of portraying, fairly accurate storylines.
But the show does have to take some liberties, especially with homicide cases.
It may take a year to fully investigate that, take it to trial, actually get someone convicted, and that just doesn't happen in an hour.
Agents use special lights to see traces of evidence left at crime scenes and have an interview room for suspects and witnesses. Sometimes an NCIS forensic consultant from Jacksonville is flown in to help out. The evidence is then sent off to a crime lab.
I will never stop until I end you.
As for chasing down the bad guys,
On occasion, but not very often.
the TV show sometimes films scenes at the Naval Air Station. NCIS producers also consult with the Navy to make things as realistic as possible. NCIS New Orleans relies on the expertise of retired NCIS agent Dwayne Swear, who Norton used to work for.
So if anybody represents NCIS New Orleans, it would be Dwayne. Dwayne is at NCIS New Orleans, even though he retired almost 7 years ago.
Swear works with the writers to make sure procedures are accurately portrayed. Peterson says the TV show does a good job of showing viewers how all of the pieces of a case come together. Now you can watch an all-new episode of NCIS New Orleans tonight at 9 here on KLFY TV. Then you want to stick around for another special report on the real NCIS New Orleans on News 10 at 10. We're going to visit the Marine Corps Support Facility in New Orleans, where Marine Corps attorneys work very closely with NCIS agents.
Wow. Seems like they have their hands full. Were you surprised to see how many agents are actually covering this area?
There's only 2, and they cover the entire state. So like if they get a call from another NCIS office, say in California, they might say, we need you to go up to Monroe to interview a witness. They have to do that.
Wow. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Right before our newscast, you watched a new episode of NCIS New Orleans right here on KLFY TV. The entire show is filmed in the New Orleans area.
And as we told you at 5, there really is a real NCIS New Orleans office. Now, it's a lot smaller than the one portrayed in the show, but it serves a very important role in the military criminal justice system.
All right, just imagine you in the field.
On the TV show NCIS New Orleans, agents work in a spacious, comfortable, high-tech office space. It's actually a soundstage in Jefferson Parish. Their office exterior is on St. Anne Street in the French Quarter. But in real life, the NCIS office is here on the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base New Orleans in Belchase. Jeffrey Norton is one of 2 NCIS special agents assigned to the New Orleans office. They investigate crimes involving sailors and Marines and threats against the Department of the Navy.
Sexual assaults, robberies, burglaries, and once in a while we do get a murder here.
Theories?
Real life is very different from the TV show, which seems to have a murder in just about every episode. It can take months or even years to bring a case to trial, which in the military is called a court-martial, unlike the TV show where cases are solved in an episode or 2. NCIS Supervisory Special Agent Eric Peterson oversees the NCIS offices in New Orleans, Gulfport, and Meridian, Mississippi.
You know, it's not all, let's get our gear on, go out and do the search warrant, arrest the bad guy. There's an awful lot of paperwork that goes into it behind the scenes as well.
Norton also has an office at the Marine Corps Support Facility in New Orleans, about 13 miles away from Belchase. NCIS agents will bring cases involving Marines to the attention of the staff judge advocate.
We work close with Jeff, NCIS agents all over the country.
Lieutenant Colonel Casey Scheidel is legal advisor to the 4th Marine Aircraft Wing. The judge advocates here and Marine Corps prosecutors in Quantico, Virginia, decide what charges will be filed in a criminal case.
There's a lot that goes into the investigative piece of this, the decision making, the warrants, the searches. I mean, that takes months.
This New Orleans courtroom handles court-martials for all Marine Corps Reserve units across the country. That includes reservists and active duty Marines who are assigned to those units. Everyone associated with the case is flown to New Orleans for the court-martial.
I'd say this is probably the nicest courtroom in the United States Marine Corps. It is state-of-the-art. It has probably the best technology that the Marine Corps has to offer.
As you can see, criminal cases can be expensive to investigate and prosecute. NCIS agents play a critical role in them from start to finish. There's a lot of paperwork and stuff that honestly wouldn't make for very interesting television. But the agents we talked to said the TV show does a pretty good job of showing viewers what NCIS is all about.
So it's been a very positive thing for us as an agency because people really know who we are. And for the most part, they know a lot about what we do and what our mission is as well.
The show has also given the agency name recognition it never had before. The New Orleans agents often have to travel within the state to do interviews for other NCIS offices. The Naval Criminal Investigative Service has more than 165 locations around the world. Supervisory Special Agent Eric Peterson says that most NCIS agents were law enforcement officers before joining the agency.